with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Game Day Playbook Show. We're looking at the Monday 9-game main slate on DraftKings. If you play over on FanDuel, you got 11 games because FanDuel gave you the 10 p.m. tip-offs. DraftKings going back to their old ways, as we saw them start to do last year on larger slates. They're clipping off the 10 p.m. games to appease the casual fan, make more money on their 2-game showdown slates, whichever one it is. So it seems like that's what we're going to get now that we're out of opening week here. Larger slates, you won't get your 10 p.m. games. Smaller slates, I think we saw last year, basically, if it was 6 or under, they included the 10 p.m. If it was like 6 or more, they cut it off. So we don't have on this slate that we're going to be going over the 10 p.m. games. Shortens your player pool, but still 9 games to go over here to kick the week off. James, what's your impressions? What's your thoughts here now that we're through 1 week of the NBA season?
My impressions are we still can't trust head coaches with anything that they say because minutes are.
Oh, I just unplugged my microphone, so now I can't hear anything.
I hear you, Lon.
All right, we're back. We're back. We are back. 1 second into the show.
You got to switch your mic, whichever sound is picking up.
Am I now on my headset or on my camera microphone? Is it sound terrible?
You're very echoey. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's a terrible thing that just happened. You take us here. You take us to the promised land, and I'll get this swapped.
All right, you work on that. I guess I'll just bring up the slate. We'll just go into it. First of all, we appreciate you all tuning in. Hit that like, that subscribe, that share button. It's a free way to support the work we do here over at Fantasy Alarm and on our YouTube and Twitter channel. You also see we got that 7-day free trial QR code right up there on the left corner. That's right. We have 7 days free. You can try us out, get access to our NBA DFS playbook, our NFL playbooks, our NHL, MMA, PGA, all of our DFS and betting content that is behind the paywall you get for free for 7 days when you sign up and scan that QR code. We also right now have a special deal going on that ends today. $50 off our annual subscription. fantasyalarm.com/year, promo code year, $50 off your annual sub. That makes it less than $20 a month for the entire year. Our general monthly cost is like $39.98, I think it is. So big savings, almost 50% off for the year right now on our annual subscription. So make sure you go check that out. That includes all seasonal DFS betting and draft guide. So you want your fantasy football draft guide, NBA, NHL, MLB draft guides for next year, all included. If you sign up here, fantasyalarm.com/year, promo code year, or scan that QR code. That also starts you off with a 7-day free trial as well. So take advantage of these offers we got going on right here today. Cam the Man popping in. Respect me for being an Anthony Black truther. I am. I will continue to play Anthony Black until he burns me or he's no longer under 4K. So, and Franz Wagner, questionable to play tonight. Maybe that means more minutes. Could go Anthony Black's way. He has that ability to play small forward and shooting guard on this team. So we'll see what happens with the rotations. If Franz Wagner is not available here, Cam wants to do a new Bane impression with the mic situation we got going on.
How are we? Is it still bad?
No, it's okay.
Is it better?
I think you're still on the other mic, but if you're not, that's fine.
I don't know. It says I'm not, but I don't know.
Well, that's fine. It's maybe you're a little louder than usual. Maybe just the sound settings happen, but overall, it's not terrible.
Oh no, it's terrible. I could just tell. This is why I don't like touching things.
You missed the Anthony Black talk. Well, we talked Anthony Black on the preview show, which Cam the Man most likely watched, so that's why he's commenting now. We haven't gone over the positions yet. You'll hear me talk Anthony Black. Dez popping in. What's up, Dez? Happy to have you in here, man. We appreciate you in the chat. Yeah, we're here for you guys. You guys keep showing up. We're going to keep showing up for you to break down these slates and get you all ready. We're going to send reminders throughout the week, but we will say Thursday's show is going to be an hour earlier. Halloween trick-or-treating. We'll be starting the show at 4 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. We'll run it through 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time. This upcoming Thursday, it's a 4-game slate for that. Then we'll be back to our regularly scheduled 5 p.m. start time. But Make a note in your calendars, or you just hit that subscribe button so you get notified when we go live. Thursday show will start at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Faisal in the chat, love it. And Chris over here, he plays on FanDuel. He's got the full 11-game slate. We'll be breaking it all down. Grande's got his playbook out that talks about FanDuel as well over there. And Prince, yeah, man, FanDuel. Honestly, FanDuel kind of like what they're doing a little bit more than DraftKings, to be honest with you. In terms of some of their earlier season contests and the fact that they are giving you the full slate to break down. So that said, we'll turn our attention back to DraftKings. We'll take a look at this slate here. Notable game totals that we're looking at, Grande. What's some of the matchups we should be looking to target today?
Yeah, there's 4 on DraftKings and 1 on FanDuel. So if you're playing FanDuel, Trailblazers Kings is 230.5. Sacramento 12.5 point favorites. Trailblazers on the second leg of a back-to-back. But Wizards Hawks 233.5. We're going to talk a lot about the Hawks tonight. I think a lot of tonight's slate is going to revolve around the Hawks and what's going to happen. I am glad, Power, that I do sound like I'm in space. Maybe I am in space. That would be cool because that would mean I have a ton of money to get to space. And that would be really cool to have a ton of money as well. So 233.5, 7.5 point spread in favor of the Hawks. Chicago Bulls, Memphis Grizzlies. 233 is where it was. It's actually now up to 2.5. I don't know if you knew this, Sean. The Bulls and the Grizzlies are 1 and 2 respectively in pace so far throughout the year. It's a very, very obviously slim sample, but those two are matching up. 6.5 point spread for the Grizzlies there. Bucks Celtics, we talked about it last night on the show. 232.5. Boston giving 9.5 points to Milwaukee. Utah Jazz, Dallas Mavericks, 232.5. Dallas giving 11.5 to Utah, looking to bounce back.
Sure. Key injury news for today. Again, we know Atlanta's missing, going to be missing some plays here. Gankwu, we don't know the DeAndre Hunter status yet. Bogdan's out for them. So, there's some rotation changes that are going to be going on there, which create a lot of value. Ownership-wise, Larry Nance is popping up as maybe one of the more popular plays of the day. Again, we'll break all of that down as we go by each position here. Franz Wagner was the other big name that was questionable for today that could impact the overall starting lineups. But let's get into point guard. Luka Doncic is $11,300. Trae Young, $98. Dame, $93. Ja, $92. Cade Cunningham at $9,000. When we did the preview show, I told you I really liked Trae Young at the price per dollar. Great matchup for him. If they're going to be down even more, key rotational pieces, feels like to me this could be a 40 actual point night for Trae Young. Where are you going with your lineup builds? You gave a little sneak peek in our Discord. Again, if you're not yet a member of the Fantasy Farm family, you got access to our premium Discord. Grande shared his starting build for his lineups tonight, included a 1 Luka Doncic. Is that still the case?
Yes.
The situations we got going on.
Yep, still the case. I still think Luka is the top overall play of the day. It's just hard to look at a guy who didn't play preseason, who had a calf injury, and then look at him and it's all right, 36 and 39 minutes off rip, 25 shot attempts off rip, 3-point volume still there, free throw volume still there, and he's a walking triple-double, and we haven't even gotten that yet. So it's hard to pass up Luka and the upside we're getting when we know there's more. I mean, there's more in the bag for Luka considering just 4 assists last game. What happens when Clay is knocking down 70% of his threes in a game? You think Luka's going to have 4 assists? Or what happens when Lively's taking more than 2 shots and Luka's throwing up lobs to him? Is he going to still just have 4? There is going to be a breakout of epic proportion from Luka. And in that game, I mentioned on the preview show, in the first game of the year, he played 36 minutes, and it may not look like a complete blowout. They were up 20 while he was on the floor in the middle of the fourth quarter. And he was just playing. They just kept him on the floor, and that's just kind of what happens. Luka just plays mid-30s minutes in blowouts, and he plays high 30s into the 40s when it's competitive. So I love Luka 11-3. He's my top overall play of the slate. But I obviously, with how shorthanded Atlanta could potentially be if Hunter's ruled out, I have no problem getting to Trae Young at $9,800. If that's your pivot off of Luka, He obviously was terrible against OKC. They got torched in the fourth quarter. That was a competitive game until it wasn't. And OKC just absolutely dominated them defensively and offensively. And, bad team, the first two matchups, 30, 38 actual, double-doubles, 59, 71. Well, guess what? Washington, bad team. And I'm not saying that Trae Young's just going to beat up on bad teams and stink against good teams, but he's going to have the ball in his hand a lot more than he has in years past, just with the roster construction, and that's not going to change with all their injuries tonight. So, I think Trae Young's an elite pivot off of Luka. If you can find a way to pair them, do that as well, because, again, both those guys have 40-minute upside, and both have already shown 60 in their bag. So I have no problem pairing them. I have no problem just playing Luka, no problem just playing Trae, but I think clear and away the best 2-point guards of the day.
Yeah, I mean, he went through 71 fantasy points with 7 turnovers. He had 10 turnovers versus the Thunder. Obviously, you'd like to see the turnover numbers come down because those just ding you fantasy points. But this feels like a matchup where you could get a ceiling type of game. We know how bad Washington is. They got a bunch of rookies. We saw Boston, obviously, again, upper echelon team, but they were toying with the rookies that Washington was kind of putting out there and going at them and attacking. And I can see Trae Young very easily doing the same thing here and kind of welcoming those guys into the league here a bit. We talked Cade Cunningham, and again, Cade Cunningham, kind of interesting where he's popping up in terms of expected ownership for tonight, given where his projections have been as well. What are your thoughts on Cade here this evening?
I mean, you will get him at 1%, and if you're worried about a matchup, then look no further than Boston and Cleveland, who are two of the better defensive teams in the NBA, and it didn't seem to matter. I mean, we're going to get minutes. We're going to get heavy shot volume. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. He's a good rebounding guard because he's big. He's 6'5", 6'6", and he's a good passer. So I have no problem getting to Cade in tournaments. In single entry, are you now playing Cade over Luka or Trae? I prefer the other two, but in tournaments, if you're playing multiple lineups, you're playing 20, 150 max, whatever, I definitely want some Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, we don't often like to go against Miami. Miami really hasn't shown to be that great of a team, at least so far this year. We know obviously what Detroit is, but the fact that Cade in, blowout losses is getting 35, 37, 41 minutes, that's minutes equal production. So I'm full on.
Well, Boston game wasn't Boston. They were super competitive in that game.
Sure. Mid-tier range. Guys that are popping off the board for you here. I mean, Halliburton's been pretty bad, but this is a pretty low price tag for him. Brunson, tougher matchup, $8,600. Gets at home here. What are your thoughts as we hit this sort of 8 and 7K range?
Honestly, the 8K tier did not appeal to me all that much. I get wanting to get to someone like Brunson. He's had an extremely high usage rate through 2 games. They've just been involved in 2 blowouts, and we haven't seen full capacity of Brunson. But, we also factor in Brunson, of all the starters last year, was not the guy that played the most. I mean, he played mid-30s, so he wasn't far off of his minute projection from last game. I think the price is too low. So if you want to get Brunson, you can. Tough spot. Halliburton, I'll let someone else chase, the turnaround. But 2, 5, and 4 assists for Tyrese Halliburton, that is his thing, right? He had 20 assists in a game last year. We were talking about him as the one true point guard, right? The traditional point guard. And obviously assists correlate with your teammates, but and they haven't been very good other than the Detroit game, but they scored 114 and 115 points in 2 of their games, and he has 6 assists combining those. Yep. I don't think Orlando's the spot that he's going to figure it out. So he's going to be hounded by Jalen Suggs.
Yeah,
I'm good. Just moving on past Halliburton. If he goes off, salute to you and whoever plays him. I think the 7K tiers is definitely more appealing. Kyrie is small point guard, shooting guard. I think his price is really intriguing. The shot volume's still there, even with Clay in town. The minutes were great in his last game. We know he's much more efficient than he showed in the first 2 games.
Yep.
So I'm good with Kyrie. Van Vliet is fine. He was really good in that first Spurs matchup, and we know he has like a really high ceiling at times. It just depends on the nights where he's feeling like shooting or not. I love the next 2 guys too. I love Jordan Poole, and I don't care who knows it. Jordan Poole, Anthony Black is not playing, huh? That's interesting. And Anthony Black out. Is that reported? I see Franz as a game time decision. Let's see. Magic.
I don't see anything for Anthony Black yet.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm looking through the beat writer report. I don't see anything for Anthony Black, but I guess we'll see. Right now, Franz is listed as a game time decision. We will see about Anthony Black.
Can't be trolling this, man. What's going on?
Someone posted fake news in a Discord. Okay, so, okay. Anyways,
throwing us off, guy. What do you mean?
So, Jordan Poole. I am like very in on Jordan Poole tonight in tournaments. As bad as Washington's been, he's stood out the most out of anybody. He just hasn't had a time to be fully extended because they've gotten blown out in 2 straight games. Washington gets Atlanta on the second leg of a back-to-back while they're shorthanded. Jordan Poole, 1.36 fantasy points per minute so far. And I mentioned it before the season. Like, they put him on the ball. He is their point guard, quote unquote, and has not really faltered scoring the basketball. That's the one thing we know he can do. And he's been great peripherally. The assists have been great. The steals have been great. So I think that if there's ever a blow-up spot for Jordan Poole, 7,300 point guard, shooting guard, I'm very interested in tournaments because I do think, look, he put up 44 fantasy points in 32 minutes against Boston. That game stays close, he gets you 50, right?
He did most of that like in that first quarter, though, when he had like 4 threes. Now, obviously, that's part of his game. He's going to be shooting a lot of threes. It's also a continuation of what we saw from him in the second half of last year. After the All-Star break, he averaged 21 points a game, shot 36% from 3. So, this is kind of what we were expecting out of Jordan Poole last year. It was a terrible first half.
Oh.
Came out of the All-Star break, had a really good final 25 games, and now he's sort of carrying it on. Like you said, 24 minutes against Cleveland in that blowout, he gave you 31 fantasy points. So I'm with you. I think in tournaments, perfectly fine getting there. What are we doing when it comes down to like this next group? We have Kobe White, Darius Garland, Jamal Murray, Derek White, that crew here.
I wrote Kobe White up in the playbook today. You can find it at fantasyalarm.com. He's obviously had a really high ceiling and a really low floor, but this is a ceiling game. There's top 2 teams in pace, best game environment on the board in terms of total. And through the 3 games, 23.5% usage rate, 1.1 fantasy points per minute. Absolutely no problem getting to Kobe White. That would be like my preferred option. Jamal Murray's fine. Hero's fine. I think Derek White is fine. I don't have like any strong takes on any of them. They're all fine. But then I think it's like in the mid 5s is where I would really want to target. Just got official, like the quote from Jamal Mosley about Franz Wagner and Goga, John Isaac are all going to try and give it a go. That is what he said. So it looks like we're going to get Wagner in. It looks like we're going to get Isaac and Goga in. But obviously we'll see like as we get closer to lock the official word. But it looks like they're going to play. But like Dyson Daniels is someone I'm just going to go right back to the well with. He's been as good as it gets. That Charlotte game, he was in early foul trouble. He's an aggressive defensive player. He's probably going to be guarding Jordan Poole. He's super good peripherally, and the scoring has been what's like taken him over the top this year. You get him in double figures in any of these games, and he's smashing. As we've seen.
It wouldn't shock me if we had a 5 steals block game out of him tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And
Washington, young guards, again, young players, turnover prone. Would not surprise me if we got a 5 steals block game out of Dyson Daniels here tonight.
Yeah, and that's what he's elite at. And again, if we're getting the scoring to go with it, which I think if they don't have Hunter, they'll need, right? Because they're down a Kongwu who's been really good offensively for them. They'll be down Bogdanovic and they'll be down Hunter. Those are three like pieces that they need to score, just based on what they lost in DeJounte Murray. So I'm totally in on Dyson Daniels as kind of just another core play for me tonight.
Yep. Again, if you want to go down here, there's Jalen Suggs, $5,400. After interesting minute rotation for him the first couple of games, comes back out 31 minutes against Memphis and goes for 45. I think we sort of thought that was what he would be doing begin the year, but he got a slow ramp up here, which is, we talked Anthony Black. We don't really know, I guess, now what's going to expect with his minutes. A lot of people have been playing Peyton Pritchard earlier this season. Obviously, at the last two matchups, 19 minutes against Detroit, shows you what happens in a competitive game. And we talked about it on the morning show. We got lucky. He went 5 for 7 from 3. Otherwise, he was not going to hit value there, in 19 minutes. So, if Milwaukee-Boston plays a competitive game, Peyton Pritchard probably less on the floor there. So, we got to take that into consideration as well. What are we doing for some value? Do we like Deuce McBride at 43? Carrington, people are seemingly still getting to because of Atlanta being down plays. Like, what are your thoughts here?
It's not my favorite tier. I'm not interested in Pritchard here at 48. I'll let other people play that price tag. This is not like a position that I've found gravitating to. The only thing with McBride I would really consider is if Josh Hart were to be ruled out, and then we can pivot to McBride, because just assuming they would just start McBride, you go Brunson, McBride, OG, Bridges, and Towns. I feel like that would be the easiest decision Tibbs would have. So that would be my condition for McBride. The Carrington thing, I get it. He's played decent minutes, and he was their first round pick or one of their first round picks and whatnot. But like, I don't know. If he's going to be popular again, I'm just going to keep fading him until he gives us a reason to like play him.
Great. And then I'll just close it out with my Anthony Black propaganda. Again, he's just playing. He played 20 minutes. Obviously he played less minutes when Jalen Suggs played more minutes, so that needs to at least be highlighted here. He was really good the first couple of games. He's been very consistent with the scoring. He's chipping in a little bit more with the rebounds and assists. He only had 1 rebound in that game against Memphis, so obviously that takes down a little bit of his fantasy upside there. If he can get you 3 rebounds, you're back up around 20 fantasy points there. For me, it was more so like there was a lack of under 4K viable players here, and Black definitely has a role. And we looked at, and we showed this on the morning show, the popcorn machine rotation there, and Black was playing minutes at times with Jalen Suggs, with KCP being the one off the floor. So, I still don't mind going back to Black there. That one is fine for me, even if that's just a play I'm in on. How are we handling the Miami rotation? Because we saw Alec Burks play. We know Josh Richardson's supposed to be back. Are you interested in any of those guys?
I'm acting like it doesn't even exist.
Doesn't exist. I like it. All right, let's go to shooting guard then. Over at the top of the shooting guard position, there's Donovan Mitchell. We got Jaylen Brown at 83. We got Jalen Green at 81. Do you find yourself looking to spend into this 8K tier, or what are we doing at shooting guard tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're all in play. I don't find myself prioritizing them. Like, I think the next tier is where I'd live over them. You could always play Jalen. I think Jalen has given you every reason to be like, yo, I can shoot 6 for 24 and give you 50. That is not what Jaylen Brown has done in the past. No. Point blank. If he's going 6 for 24, you lose in the past, right? Like
rebounds,
right?
We were always begging Jaylen Brown to be something other than just a straight scorer. 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals a game right now. Like that's where your ceiling comes into play of fantasy points.
Yep, I would never play Jaylen Brown at 8,300 in the past. No. Like there'd be somebody would have to be out for me to do that.
Tatum would have to be out, right?
Somebody being literally Jason Tatum. Yeah. But if he's going to be great peripherally, then no problems getting there. But I still find myself getting to the next tier. We mentioned Kyrie, mentioned Poole, mentioned Kobe White. Didn't mention Levine yet. Dude, he has been just great. He looks all the way back. The 3-point volume, I expect that to even go up a little bit from what it's been. He's going to be a double-digit three-point shot taker. Peripheral stats have been great. That's something that's been kind of impressive, other than the assists, really. And then the scoring. The minutes have been great. We would have gotten more in OKC if not for, a blowout. The Milwaukee minutes, kind of all got limited, but front end of back-to-back. And that kind of got out of hand at the end of the game. So we saw on opening night, LaVine played 37 minutes. You're going to give me 37 minutes for a guy leading the team in usage, leading the team in fantasy points per minute. Well, second behind Vooch, but he's a shot maker and has been, good peripherally. So I really like the 7K tier at shooting guard.
Sure. I know you talked Derek White at point guard. I like him in cash games. I think he's a pretty safe play today.
For sure, safe.
Under 7K in the 6K tier, we talked Dyson Daniels already. Grady Dick, one of the few guys we know. RJ Barrett's status yet for today? Is he in or
out? He's questionable.
So we'll see if he comes back or not. But he had 25 actual. Kind of show you what his scoring ceiling can be. Klay Thompson, I know we talked. You're not as big of a fan of him being the third option, but doesn't matter if he's still taking all these shots and actually making all these shots.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it. This is what he's going to be. He's going to be, but we saw in the second game when he doesn't have the 7 rebounds, 3 steals, which isn't necessarily Klay's, forte. Well, it's 28 and now his price is up $300. So I'm not against it. It's going to be good correlation with Luka, because if he makes 10 threes, you bet 8 of those assists are coming from Luka Doncic. So I don't mind it. I'm indifferent about it. If I'm building multiple lineups, a lot of them are just going to have Dyson Daniels over Klay Thompson, who's also
DeAndre Hunter, by the way, officially out for tonight. So,
oh boy,
you're getting some of those.
Oh boy,
right
I mean,
now.
So there is a legitimate case, and I know it's a big slate. 9 on DraftKings, 11 on FanDuel, respectively. There's a case to play 4 Hawks. I mean, we're talking about Bogdanovich, Hunter, Okongwu, and am I missing someone? No. Okongwu, Hunter, and Bogdanovich.
Yeah.
Those are 3 of their top 8, right? 3 of their top 6, probably.
Okongwu's their first guy off the bench.
First guy off the bench. And Bogdanovich is number 2. And Hunter starts. So, 3 of their top 6 players are not playing. There's legit. They played on a back-to-back. There's going to be a lot of cheap Atlanta exposure, and Christopher, perfect timing. Keldon Johnson or Kamara, I'd rather just play Hawks value over them. All those ancillary pieces that might have been in play before. I know we're jumping the gun. Zachary Ricochet is $4,200. He's going to start. He's going to play probably well into the 30s in a competitive game, right? He played 27 minutes last night. They got torched in the 4th. David Roddy played 20 minutes last night, had 21 fantasy points for Atlanta. He's min salary, $3,000 on DraftKings, small forward. They're going to ask Jalen Johnson to play 40 minutes tonight. They're going to ask Trae Young to play 40 minutes tonight. Garrison Matthews, we're at shooting guard, played 22 minutes last night. Is he great on a fantasy point per minute basis? No. But when he makes shots, he's fine. I mean, they are just incredibly short-handed. They're going to dust off Larry Nance tonight. I believe when I was looking at the injury report today, and I'll look, Mohamed Gaye, who is their third-string center, was placed on G League assignment, so they might not even have him. They might legitimately just have 9 players tonight.
Yeah.
And we're 6 days into the season. So,
to your point, I know Chris plays on FanDuel. Ricochet's 3,900. Roddy's min price 35. So you're getting both of those guys under 4K today in that one. Matthews is 38, so just above. You mentioned Vit Krejci had played a little bit in that game as well, right?
He did.
Yeah, he's 3,200 here.
Yep.
He played 20 minutes. He's only $3,700 on FanDuel. So, a lot of under 4K plays on FanDuel, where generally you can play everybody, regardless of price tag. So you can definitely fit in some Hawks value, knowing that these guys are all likely going to play some minutes. Now, they got that kind of run in a blowout, probably helped as well. But, again, you can go check out Popcorn Machine and see when these guys checked in and where they were playing and get a better idea of what to handle there. Knowing those guys are out, does that reevaluate Trae Young for you at all?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I think Trae Young's an elite play.
Well, you were just building around getting Luka in. You were going the cheaper Hawks. As fewer and fewer guys are available to you, you go more to Trae and take the money and maybe play like we look at rostership, right?
Yeah.
Knowing Luka is expected to be the highest of the highest priced plays, would you pivot now to building a lineup with Hawks value and a Jokic or something like that instead? Or, do you still find yourself going with Luka?
So I just built, my initial core that I posted in Discord, and we could just talk about it now, was Luka, Daniels, Hunter, because, we're imagining that he would play a second leg of a back-to-back, and Clint Capella. That was my initial core four. I just built Luka, Daniels, Ricochet, Capella, Trae. So power forward, util left, $4,500. If I just plugged David Roddy into that equation, right? Yeah. Or another Larry Nance or some form of Hawks value, I would have no problem filling out those last two spots. So I think it's still possible to build with Trae and Luka and still get to a bunch of Atlanta. I still think Luka is a better play, and I still think there's, because no matter who is in or out for Dallas, Luka's going to take 30 shots, and still that the matchup against Utah is still as good as it gets. So I still would have Trae behind him, but obviously it makes it easier to get to Trae now, over Luka. And to your point, now, you could play Trae with whoever other spend up you want if you do want to pivot off a chalky Luka. And also, to your point, maybe that brings Luka's ownership down after we get the next update and we see no one's now playing Luka because everyone's playing Trae. Well, shoot, I know I would want to lower on Luka Doncic. So my opinion necessarily hasn't changed, other than this does make it easier to get Trae and Luka into your lineup.
Okay. All right. So we were at value for shooting guard. Was there anybody else that you wanted to play down here? Castle for San Antonio got some extra run. Was there anybody else for you here?
Koulibaly at 49 is someone that I'm interested in because he's kind of played no matter what. He starts and he's played in blowout scenarios. So they're just simply trying to develop Bilal Koulibaly. It's just kind of what it is. And he's been really good peripherally. I love to see his 16 shot attempts in the last game. So I like Koulibaly. I think Christian Brown is interesting. 34 minutes in that competitive game against the Clippers the other day, 27 fantasy points. If Christian Brown is going to score, then Christian Brown has a ceiling because he's really good peripherally. It's just about the scoring. So he's $4,700. You can get there. You mentioned Carrington. He's going to get ownership. Castle, I do like the 27 minutes. Sans Trey Jones. There's no Trey Jones again. He actually had a 22% usage rate, which was second on the team, ahead of Sohan, behind Wemby, obviously. So, that's noteworthy. Second highest usage rate on the team, 27 minutes off the bench. So if you want to get to Castle, that's fine. Vic Krejci, 20 minutes. Short-handed Hawks team, $3,200. I think you have to consider 8 Hawks to kind of be in play. I'm not saying you're playing 5 of them right off the bat, but they just are coming off they're on a back-to-back with a super short-handed team. And I looked, Gaye and Keaton Wallace both in the G League. So they are legitimately short-handed, no doubt about it. So I mean, Vic Krejci, 3,200, I'd at least give it or Garrison Matthews, 3,200. I'd at least give those two guys some thought.
Small forward, Jason Tatum, $9,700, still under 10K. 53, 52, 66 fantasy points. We got 38 minutes out of him against Detroit. This is obviously a big matchup. Milwaukee, a team that they consistently go back and forth, generally meet in the playoffs. Tatum looking pretty good here. JB is obviously below him. Jimmy Butler against Detroit. What are we doing small forward?
Yeah, I mean, Tatum is too cheap under 10K. He's over 10K in FanDuel, but under 10K in DraftKings. Please just raise his price. I mean, he's taking a boatload of threes. He's making a boatload of threes. He's great peripherally. He's double-doubles in 2 different ways so far through 3 games. I mean, he has been as good as anyone. He won the Eastern Conference Player of the Week, right? So, love Tatum, 97. I wrote up Jimmy Butler in today's playbook. I think there's a lot to like about Jimmy. I think, first and foremost, he played 37 minutes against Charlotte and had a 28% usage rate and was 2 rebounds and 2 assists shy of a triple-double. Like, it's a great spot. The Pistons are 26 in defensive rating early on, and no one's going to play Jimmy at 8K. So love Jimmy Butler in tournaments to be a little bit different. I like any of the guys 8K and above.
Okay. Going down into the mid-tier range. Again, Franz Wagner was a guy we were keying in on. Does him notice of him trying to play today change anything for you at all?
Yeah, man, I don't love that it's – illnesses are tricky, no? Like, because he can just – if it's like we don't – illness is broad.
Yeah.
What is his illness? Does he have a stomach virus? Because if he has a stomach virus, why don't I want to play him? Because then if he throws up on the court, he's done. If he has a cold, well – look at me. I have a cold. I'm powering through this. Like, same thing. Franz running up and down the court for 40 minutes and me doing a podcast or a live stream for 40. It's the same thing. So, he's been so good. So, yeah, he's interesting if he's going to play. Like, we just obviously don't know what the sickness is. RJ Barrett is getting a lot of ownership. A lot more than I anticipated he would making his debut. I know it was just a shoulder.
Is he officially in, or we just assume he's in?
No, but I mean, he worked out before the Philadelphia game extensively and upgraded from doubtful to questionable, and his return is expected this week. So I'm just assuming he's in without any official word, but he's getting a lot of ownership. I mean, it's an interesting play because the Denver's best perimeter defender is definitely going to guard Scotty Barnes. So is Christian Brown going to be guarding Barrett? It's not an easiest spot, but 6,800, if he was full go, I'd be okay with that. He's the clear second option with quickly hurt.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else down here in this range then?
No, because
positional eligibility. So
I wouldn't say anything in this range when you could just play Hawks, which I know is kind of a cop out, but why would we not just play Ricochet at 42 knowing how shorthanded they are? Or why would we not consider punting David Roddy, who looked really good yesterday for OKC? First quarter minutes for David Roddy, not just he played garbage time. No.
Right.
No. David Roddy played early. Now, did he play a lot? No, but he had 3 first half shifts. I don't know, was pacing for 16 minutes before blowout run. Yeah. But now they're even more shorthanded without a Kongwu. So, I would just probably just cop out and say Hawks value and move on kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. There's plenty of value guys here from Atlanta to play through. Power forward, you have Giannis at 10-9. We talked Tatum, there's Scotty Barnes, Paolo Banchero. Now everybody's going to be in, but for how long? What kind of shape are they in? Siakam's 82. Mobley's kind of been a monster. Jalen Johnson now with nobody around him. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, Giannis, I'm never against playing a star in a tough spot because at the end of the day, they're stars, right? Giannis could go score 45 against Boston tonight and be right, that guy's he's good at basketball. And you'd get him at sub 10%, sub 5%. So if you want to play Giannis, play Giannis. He's probable. Barnes is fine. Hasn't looked great to start the year, but we know he has a ceiling. I do think Paolo is a little bit interesting if Franz is at all hindered because, Franz Wagner gets sick, leaves the game, it's all Paolo Banchero all the time. So he would be incredibly interesting in that scenario. He's going to be low owned. I think Jalen Johnson, we can sit here and you can be mad at Jalen Johnson all you want, right? He has not shot the ball well. He was in foul trouble twice. But he's a super good basketball player with a really high ceiling on a shorthanded team. And he was in foul trouble against OKC. Well, he wasn't in against Charlotte or Brooklyn. He played 37 and 41 minutes out of the gate. So as long as he can stay out of foul trouble, there's 40 minutes on the table for Jalen Johnson. And if you're telling me 40 minutes are on the table for Jalen Johnson, you know, I mean,
he just has to score, right? The rebounds have been good. The defense. You know, I know this is we go with DraftKings. You and I play a lot of underdog as well. I was running some underdog drafts today. I got Jalen Johnson round 4, round 5 of a 6-round draft. I mean, again, he hasn't done it, but last year there's 45 plus fantasy point upside there, and now you got a matchup against Washington here today. Like, you're gonna get that type of. I'll take that upside all day in the 4th or 5th round of a snake draft over an underdog. So. If you guys are interested, you know, go check out Underdog, fantasytime.com/underdog, promo code alarm. Get 100% deposit or 50% deposit match up to $1,000 when you sign up over there. But they have snake drafts for DFS. It's super fun. Takes the salary cap kind of out of it. And again, there's some pretty great values that can be had on these kind of slates here. So definitely can go there. Ken said, do we have a favorite between Brown and Brunson? Do we have and Donovan Mitchell today? Do you have a favorite?
Favorite of that group. I would say Donnie Mitch going back to New York where he's from, but like 50 fantasy points. I mean, they're all like so similar.
I think I listen as you have them ranked. You know, I just don't like going against Detroit, against Cleveland. You know, Jalen Brunson's a guy that makes his living getting to the rim for a lot of his points, and Mobley and Allen are there. You have to deal with Garland defense. Like, I don't know. I'm not as high on Brunson tonight. Jalen Brown, I think, has a really good matchup.
Yes, he does.
Obviously, just in general. And then Donovan Mitchell, like you said, he can kind of score on anybody. You know, I know that the Knicks generally are a really good defensive team as well, and he's going to have to deal with OG or Mikal Bridges defending him today. But
both. I mean, the answer is probably both.
Probably both of them. So, but I think I would rank them as you list them.
Agreed.
You know, we talked to Kamara or Johnson already. And then this is a football question: Jennings, Tillman, or Coleman? Go Tillman. Didn't you see what he's done now? Back-to-back weeks, big time. All right, mid-tier power forward. What are we doing here?
Mid-tier power forward. I do like Kyle Kuzma tonight. I think Kyle Kuzma is really interesting. Hasn't made shots. His usage rate in the Cleveland game, John, 34%.
Yep. If
he just makes shots and they're competitive, I mean, he had 8 rebounds and 3 assists in 24 minutes on 3 for 16. Like, if he goes 7 of 16 in 24 minutes, he would have had like 38 fantasy points. And like, this is a great spot for Washington to like.
Say, you couldn't really ask for a harder start to a year than Boston, Cleveland, even though they've been home for both of those games. Like, yeah, a team that won the NBA title and a team that's a favorite to go to the Eastern Conference Finals here. You know, against one of the worst teams in the league. So, tough for them there. Well, Andrew, we'll get your question in a second because we've kind of gone over it a bunch. I'm sure you're just joining in, so nothing against you. But cheap hawk plays, a lot of them. All of them. Ricochet, I think we rank number 1 as the value. Yep. But Larry Nance is actually getting the highest rostership of that group right now. But we'll get that because he is a power forward. So we'll talk about him in a moment. Getting past Kuzma here. Again, Michael Porter's 58, Keldon 59, Sohan 56. I know you've been in on Sohan a lot this year, and he's paid it off. Can't really argue with that. 12 rebounds against Houston there.
Yeah, and the 37 minutes, which was, I think, more like just as good as it's going to get for a Greg Popovich-led team, right? We worry about Popovich, and we might get popped. He might play 29 minutes. You never know. But 37 minutes was great on the glass. The scoring has obviously picked up. from where it was, and he's just a good basketball player. He can handle the ball. We saw him play point guard last year, so he has 5 assists through 2 games. That's not like lost upon him at the power forward spot. So I like Sohan 56. Love Michael Porter, who's been getting us 5x plus without making shots. Michael Porter is an elite 3-point shooter, and he's 3 for 16 from 3. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They need him to score. He played 38 minutes in that last game. The Nuggets are going to play their starters monster minutes this year because all they did was acquire Westbrook, and they're like praying that Peyton Watson and Julian Strawther take steps. Right? That's what they're banking on. So they're just going to play their starters big minutes. There's no reason to think in a competitive game, 1, Porter doesn't start making more shots, and 2, he's not playing monster minutes again. So I love Porter, love Sohan in this tier.
Yeah, Michael Porter shooting like Jonte Porter there from 3-point range.
Oh no! Oh no!
What? Oh, sorry. Oh, no. In Toronto, so
Oh no! That is gonna be. I didn't really think about that. That's a very. I'm not like a narrative guy, but very interesting narrative. Do you think Michael Porter gets booed when he's out there? They're just as an extension of Jonte, knowing that Jonte was throwing their games last year.
Jonte Porter changed the landscape of NBA betting, where no under bets are now available for any 2-way or 10-day contract.
That's literally Jonte Porter.
Jonte Porter rule. So
yep.
All right, working our way down the list. Al Horford's going to play minutes tonight. I'd rather probably play Sohan just for obviously ceiling, but Horford's going to be on the floor. Where else are we going here? Any value power forwards? Do we think I don't know. Jovic is where I was talking a lot about this morning. Ownership kind of likes Jovic here today. You seemed a bit skeptical because you don't know what's going to happen with the Miami rotation here. But are you good chalk, bad chalking Jovic? What do we think here?
I mean, I wrote him up, but that was also prior to DeAndre Hunter getting ruled out, so that makes things a lot easier. If I'm going to play somebody who might play 24 minutes and might play, or there's a range of outcomes from 20 to 30 minutes, I'm probably just going to play someone who's cheaper and on Atlanta, right? But Jovic is obviously a pivot because he also has that range of outcome where he can play 20, but we just saw he played 30, but didn't close. Didn't close the game. Played 30 minutes, but didn't close. So I'm good with Jovic.
By the way, whatever you just saw about Orlando, Goga out, Isaac out.
Okay, that's cool.
We'll see if we get a
RJ Barrett in.
Yeah, RJ's in. Hauser out for Boston. Josh Hart, a game time decision. I think what Tillman got some of the Hauser minutes, but largely nobody got the Hauser minutes in that game.
Yep. So the Knicks are Thibodeau said that McBride is also a game time decision.
Okay.
But it sounds like per Thibodeau they're going to both be good, but they're going to warm up and see how they feel. But Hart and McBride. So it looks like both Hart and McBride are both going to play. But
here's the magic update here. Goga and Isaac are both out, and Franz remains a game time decision as we move closer to tip off. So this could be a 6:58 Franz Wagner out, and all of a sudden we just jam Jalen Suggs into our lineups, right?
Well, at least that's the 1-7 p.m. game. So we'll know by 6:30.
We'll know. Yeah.
No, 6:30. 6:30. They have to have it reported by 6:30.
No, they don't. No, they absolutely do.
Well, they can also report it, and then he just gets scratched before lock.
Exactly. Don't. It's the NBA. We've never had consistent reporting on injuries in the NBA our entire lives. All right. What else we got going on here? Torian Prince is down here. Boucher 41. Where's he's 3K, you said, right?
Yeah, he's Minnesota.
Hasn't played a minute, and yet expected to be 35 to 40% roster tonight.
Has not played one singular minute this year. I mean,
are you playing the 3K player that is yet to
play? I don't think that. Obviously, a Kongwu being out puts him in play, right? He's going to absorb mid-teens minutes I would say I bumped Capella earlier to, I think I bumped him to 28, maybe 29.
It's been a long time. Prospectively, it feels like a long time since we've seen Capella play 35 minutes in a game. Because
Right.
he gets hurt a lot, and
Correct.
they don't want to wear him down.
And they've also just had a Kongwu available to them.
Yeah.
So they haven't needed to. So I projected Capella post a Kongwu injury news at like 28 minutes, which I think 29, maybe we see 30. I guess it depends on game flow. But like realistic expectation for Larry Nance is what for minutes? Like what would you like? What are you comfortable?
20, I think 20 should be a baseline, 18 to 20.
I think 20 is a lot because like there's a lot of different scenarios.
Do you think they play Jalen Johnson at the 5? Like,
yeah, because if like in the minutes where Valanciunas is playing for Washington, they'll have a center on the floor.
Sure.
They're going to start with Capella, and then all those Valanciunas backup minutes, they'll have Nance or Valanciunas, or they'll have Nance or Capella on the floor. But like when it's Sarr at center, they can get away with Jalen Johnson at the 5. That's not like a
of the 73 games that Capella played last year, he played more than 30 minutes just 11 times. He did max out at 36 twice, last year. So they did kind of give him some extended run at times there, but largely kept under 30 minutes last year.
So do you think that those two chop? Do you think they just full 48-minute chop between Capella and Nance? Or do you think Johnson plays small ball 5?
Didn't we see Memphis play Roddy at a small ball 5 last year? Like
and Roddy was backing up Jalen Johnson yesterday at the 4, right? So like there's a legitimate lineup that has like Roddy Johnson, right, as their 5. Yeah, so I'm not like totally sold on Larry Nance 20 minutes. I'm not saying it's it's not a possibility.
Yeah.
But I think I put him at 16, 17 projection, and then like Jalen Johnson overlaps at center for 2 to 3 minutes, or Roddy overlaps for 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm okay with Larry Nance. It just depends on who's the best min salary play to you on Atlanta, or who's the cheapest other than Ricochet? Because you have Matthews 32. Krejci 32, Roddy 3,000, Larry Nance 3,000. So there's 4 guys $3,200 or cheaper that are going to play minutes. But who do you think is the best of the 4? Because Larry Nance is 35x the ownership of all the other guys.
I know, and we've seen it from Larry Nance before, where he gets in games and he's just super active, and therefore he just 6 points, 5 rebounds, a block, and a steal, and he's there, right? Like, and that is very doable in 15 minutes for Larry Nance, from the things that we've seen out of him, in his career. My lean is always to the shooter. So like I give Garrison Matthews kind of a nod because that guy can go out there today and take 8 threes, in limited time. And if he knocks them down, the points will be there. We saw Vic Krejci last year at times go out there and fill up stat sheets and be productive. So I think all of it's kind of a crapshoot, but I kind of agree with you. I'm almost inclined a little bit to like, if I'm making multiple lineups, make a lineup that fades Larry Nance because he's so chalky. But if you're playing a single entry, you kind of have to eat that, because I think in a single entry, he's going to be 60 or 70%.
Probably.
So
they officially have Brad Rowland of Locked On Hawks just put out a tweet that they have 11. So they must have called Gaye and Keaton Wallace back up, because both those guys are available for the Hawks tonight. So they have 11.
That throws a whole wrench into the plan there, right?
Because they gave Gaye the garbage time last night, not Larry Nance.
Sure.
Gaye played the final 3 minutes of the game, so he has been recalled. He just got sent down today. Got recalled today. Didn't even step foot into
the update was 5:26, so that's 30 minutes.
So they do have 11 available tonight, just for context.
Mm-hmm. All right. Does that change your opinion on anything?
I mean, maybe a little bit, a little, but I don't like maybe some of like those ancillary pieces aren't as appealing, but I also expect like still there's 33 minutes from Hunter to be had, and there's 24 at least from Okongwu to be had. So it's definitely going to be interesting. I still think Roddy, I still think Garrison Matthews, I still think Vit Krejci are probably the three that they've and Nance. That's your like 9-man rotation. But you know, I'm also. I mean, I can't. Larry Nance is going to be 50% owned in single entry. That is a tough. He hasn't played a minute. Not 1 minute so far, and not because
it's all about your risk aversion. Are you okay losing money tonight and fading him? Because if he goes for, even if he goes for 20 fantasy points tonight, 3K, like that's
you had to have him. You had to have him at that point.
You have to. You probably pretty much would have to have him knowing the money, what the other lineups, or you're taking a 5% Cade, and Cade goes for 60 tonight and outscores the rest of the field and kind of makes up the difference, right? Like.
Yep.
Something like that. So, all right, center is where we go. We had a Huff mention earlier here somewhere from Power. No longer on the 2-way. They gave him a 4-year deal.
He did.
I don't know what to do with the Memphis rotation here.
Ignore it.
But we'll talk about it as we get there. Jokic, Giannis, Wemby, your top 3 center price guys. We mentioned obviously Giannis over there before. I mean, this should be a very good spot for Nikola Jokic tonight to continue to do the things he does well.
Yeah. He's gonna be low owned. No one's gonna play him because
everybody's playing Luka tonight. At least
and
at our current updates of ownership, like they're all just playing Luka Doncic.
And Capella Nance at center. That's
why it is, because they're playing Capella Nance at center and util, and therefore you're not getting to Jokic. You can't play him. So.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, anytime you can get a loan Nikola Jokic, it's not a bad thing.
Nope. And is he cheaper? Like $100, $200 cheaper than
$200 cheaper
than Luka as well. Wemby obviously cheap, 44 fantasy points. We kind of talked about him though. Like we know there's more here, but we haven't gotten the minutes yet for him to really extend what we can get out of him. But we also thought in 30 minutes we'd be looking at like 12 to 15 rebounds sometimes, and we haven't gotten that yet either. So
19 potentials. So like there's obviously room for through the first 2 games. I was looking this earlier. 19 potential rebounds. Obviously he's just running bad on the rebound front, but still when you're spending tonight, right? He's gonna go for 60 eventually. But
talk center here. Chris had a question earlier. I wasn't ignoring you, Chris. I was just kind of waiting till we got here. Bam or Durant for center. Now they're a little bit closer. $1,000, difference on DraftKings. They're a little bit closer on FanDuel. Where are we on this matchup for Miami today?
It would be Bam for me. Love the 17 shot attempts in that Charlotte game. Just none of them went in. Love that he's actually taking all that like 3-point talk to heart, and he's taken multiple threes a game. I think this is great. Hasn't hit one, but just the fact that there's volume there, I mean, I'm good getting to Adebayo over Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren is fine, but I prefer Bam.
Okay. Evan Mobley is someone that we've talked a lot about. Very consistent this year. We know the defensive number is going to be there. Knocking down a couple of threes. We'd like to see that kind of trend continue for him. I think this dude is such a stud, just waiting to break out, but he's just trapped in like a team that doesn't need him to be that guy. So, but I like him in cash games a lot tonight. At $7,900. I think he fits a lot of builds. Can play him at 2 positions if you want. Thoughts on Mobley here against the Knicks?
Yeah, I'm good. I am good with Mobley. I'm indifferent about it, but I'm excited to see Cleveland in what should be a competitive game, because we don't know what the minutes are going to look like for Cleveland yet. We don't know if he's just going to tap out at 32. He's going to play 35, 36. If you're going to get 35, 36 minutes, I mean, Mobley's a 50 fantasy point guy when he's getting your defensive stats like he has, right? So I'm good. I'm good on Mobley. If you end up on Evan Mobley, that's perfectly fine.
Sure. All right. Mid-tier range.
I mean, you could play a lot of these guys. I think they're all fine. Are they better per dollar than Capella without a Kongwu? I don't think so, but I think Jakob Poeltl, as long as he stays out of foul trouble, they just need him to play. We've seen it a couple times now where, back-to-back games, they've needed Jakob Poeltl to just be on the floor because Olynyk's not. And we've gotten pretty good production in back-to-back games. So Poeltl for tournaments is fine. Wendell Carter, 55. But Capella, far and away, the best per dollar center on the board. It's chalk that I'm going to eat. He's a really good fantasy point per minute player. Has always been a really good fantasy point per minute player. He's just run out of time in Atlanta. It's just not the spot for him anymore. It's Onyeka and Kongwu's team. Since the start of last year, Clint Capella has averaged 1.2 fantasy points per minute. It's only a number. If Clint Capella goes out and plays 28 minutes and gets you 1.2 fantasy points per minute, that is doing math. Hold on, I'm just going to do quick math. I got my calculator out. That's 34 fantasy points. And if Clint Capella goes for 34 fantasy points tonight, you are very happy at 5,400. So I really, really like the price for Capella. Like him in cash, like him in tournaments. I'm just plugging and playing and moving on it at center.
Sure. Working our way down the list here. Anybody else? Any value plays? I
mean, Nance is here, but
Nance.
I don't. Maybe Mo Wagner. Just you talked about how
no Goga now, right? I mean, I don't know.
Isaac, both of their backup bigs are not playing. So I mean, Wagner, you won't see him alongside Wendell Carter, but you will see him active as hell when he's out there. So
sure will.
If
he's on the floor against the other backups here, if Isaiah Jackson's on the floor or something like that, he's super foul happy. Like the Pacers backup bigs are all hackers, so could get Wagner on the floor a lot. So
I think your only problem is he looks, in terms of minutes and stuff, he looks just like Larry Nance. They have the exact eligibility. They have the exact minute kind of projection, except one guy is min salary and one guy is $3,800.
Well, isn't that where maybe your pivot would be if you wanted to be different? Now it's $800, so you won't be able to make the same lineup, but
correct.
All right. Well, it is time where we do make a lineup to end the show. So, to Nance or not to Nance? Are we Nancing? Will you Nance with me?
Nice. I like this out of you. Yeah, we can. It's 3K.
Power forward spot?
Yeah, power forward spot because I want to play Capella at center.
Manuel quickly out for today, if we didn't know that was coming already.
Yeah, he was doubtful to play. I expect the return in one of these probably later in the week. Ricochet.
Are you on 4?
I think he's going to start, and I think the value. Now, it just depends. You want to play Trae Young. So,
I'm also, if you do Luka, 6,800. Franz Wagner will play tonight. I mentioned Black. I mean, I don't know if the people are out. 8,400. Might be able to double spend. Get Jokic and Luka together. Gives us a $5,700 forward or guard. So
100 off Michael Porter. It's just so short of Michael Porter. Yeah, Sohan's fine.
So we just built a Luka Jokic lineup here using all of the Atlanta value. So
it could start off with 120 points or enough.
Start with 120 fantasy points right here. And if any of these other guys pop for you, even to some extent, you get 40 from Capella tonight, or 30 from Daniels, Ricochet. You're good, you're golden. Sohan's obviously been a beast, so that was easy. We didn't really have to do much to get there. And obviously, you don't have to spend the 11K here. You can move it all around and kind of build a more fair and balanced lineup if you want. Take out Jokic and Black. It's still $7,500 a player. We like mentioning Levine. $7,500 again for a Uto play. Jordan Poole, something like that.
Yep.
You can make a more fair and balanced lineup around Luka. So definitely ways to go about and get your lineups in here today. So That's what we got. Again, stay tuned for Roster Lock. I'm happy we got the Franz Wagner news out now. Grande's on your playbook. We're in the Discord. You see that 7-day free trial QR code right there. You can scan that. Sign up for free for 7 days or go to fantasyalarm.com/win. Sign up for the 7-day free trial there and test us out. You get access to everything on site in our Discord, so you can find us in there to get your lineup questions in. We also have our 1-day sale going on right now on the annual subscription. It's $50 off the annual. You go to fantasyalarm.com/year, enter promo code year when you sign up, and it makes your annual subscription less than $20 a month for the year. That includes everything on site, all draft guides, all DFS betting and seasonal content, and Discord access for the full year for less than $20 a month. That's about 50% off of our current monthly subscription. So massive deal going on, ends today. So if you've been thinking about signing up for Fantasy Alarm, do it today. Again, about a 50% discount on the yearly subscription right there. fantasyalarm.com/year, promo code year to take advantage of that offer. Grady and I will be back tomorrow, just 4 games on the main slate. Good luck till then. We'll see you later.